I'm going to begin our session today by letting everyone know that on Wednesdays we have been studying Zen masters, and for the last several weeks we have been exploring the work of Shantideva and his extraordinary works, The Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. This was a teaching, a lengthy teaching that he created many, many years ago that was initiated through the oral tradition and then eventually written down. And so I've been reading verses from that every Wednesday. We're on chapter 4, which is called Guarding Alertness. And today I realized that I forgot my book. So we're just going to invite that to be perfect and just let that be as it is. And so we're going to talk about something that's been sort of sticking in my mind from guarding alertness. And I thought I would just share with you an image that came forward for me as a way of working with what does it mean to guard alertness, with particular respect to Shantideva often refers to the Buddhas, plural, and the Buddhas as the enabled ones, the Buddhas as the protectors. And so today for our practice, and as we guard alertness, I'm going to invite in imagery form the idea of protectors and enabled ones. So with that, let's begin. Welcome everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia, and I am one of the facilitators in this beautiful, beautiful community. Oh, here's a fun one for today. I want to share with you a sentiment of metta, loving kindness. This one I painted, but these red blops, as you can see, I'll get it even closer. These were made by melting crayons above the paper and letting them drip and plop onto the page. This one reads, "May your fire purify. May your fire purify." It's actually kind of amazing given the imagery that I want to share with you today. Guarding alertness from Shantideva. I'd like for you to, if you feel invited to, if it feels comfortable in your body, to take a noble posture. A noble posture is an active posture. Seated, sitting nice and tall, belly soft, strong back. The shoulders are rolled up and back so that the heart can be lifted and open. The gaze is inward, and your hands are resting comfortably, so there is complete stillness in the body. If your body needs a little less activity, then I invite you to lie down. Know that during this meditation, if you're lying down, you will go to sleep, because that's going to be the nature of this practice. And just know that your body needed the rest. Invite that to not only be okay, but to be perfect. The enabled ones, the protectors. I've decided to pluck out that word enabled because in the context of recovery, to be enabling is a really negative thing. And I would like to, in a very gentle and friendly way, challenge that idea. Because to enable is also to care. An enabled one is someone who is more experienced, more practiced, and by extension, as a result of that, more able to care, more able to guide, more able to enable someone else's wisdom, intuition, curiosity, knowing, self-regard. So the enabled ones are practiced enough to enable others to reach their own aspirations, to reach their own goals, to have confidence in themselves, to trust that they know the way for themselves. The enabled ones are those who have walked the path and can come back and report, here's where the traps are. Here's where you can anticipate stumbling. Here are some conditions you may want to watch out for. An enabled one will offer all of that information, knowing and honoring you still have to walk your journey. I cannot walk your journey for you. I cannot carry you on the journey. I cannot carpet the earth so that you don't get sore feet. I cannot fill in all the potholes for you so you have an easier way. What I can do as an enabled one is simply say, hey, there are potholes on this journey. Pay attention. Allow the enabled ones to be guides and encouragers. The protectors. When I think of protectors, I think of the Celtic tradition of the unseen world. The mystery of life that's next. I think about my parents who are gone from this physical realm, but who are very much still alive around me and within me, and I feel their protection. I also feel my dad as a protector pushing me a little bit. He's got a very gentle shove, but it's a shove nevertheless. He doesn't want to hear about my fears. He doesn't want to hear about my self-doubt. So my dad is constantly pushing me, keep going, keep going, keep going, with this gentle pressure that I feel. When I think of the protectors, I also think of nature. And I'm very fortunate to live on a farm that is enormously spacious. And I have several guardians on the property in the form of giant old trees. And when I encounter them and come into their presence, their mere physical form brings me a sense of refuge, shelter, protection. Guarding alertness. This is an invitation to wake up to your own magnificence. You, as an enabled one who needs guidance and one who can guide. You are both. I am both. The protectors. You are someone who is highly protective and who needs protection, just like me. So the invitation for this fun little reflection is, if you could embody something in nature that is empowered, enabled, and a guide and a protector, what form would you take? For me, I take a mountain. Strong, solid mountain. And one of the mountain forms that I would take is a volcano. Because within me is a fire. And sometimes that fire comes out. Sometimes it burns. Sometimes it destroys. Sometimes, however, the light of my fire guides. Sometimes the light of my fire purifies. Yes, it destroys, but what it's destroying is it's getting rid of the trash and the debris and the mess of my life to create clarity. And then in time, what cools and what remains becomes fertile for new seeds, new wisdom, new perspectives, new knowledge. As you think of yourself as an encourager, one who can enable someone else's power, one whose mere presence can encourage someone else, that's what it means to be a Buddha of enablement. When you think of yourself as that, what form comes to your mind? When you think of protection, what form comes to your mind? I really like this mountain image. I think about mountains a lot. And one of the humbling things about mountains, and having climbed a few mountains myself, is the goal is always to get to the top, to get to the highest view. And what's beautiful about that is that's only half the journey. You have to get down when you climb a mountain. And so there's so much to learn and so much to gain when you're traversing a mountain's side, a slope. And the lessons coming down are unique. And all together, the lessons ascending and the lessons descending give a sense of the whole mountain. And even then, it's superficial because you're usually on one side of the mountain and never inside the mountain. And so I use this imagery a lot because there's so much to a mountain. And I'll leave you with this final thought. And I bring this up in my own practice whenever I encounter someone's anger, wrath, frustration that's being projected toward me. I immediately get really tall, strong back, open heart, soft belly, strong mountain pose. And I think of the animated movie Mulan. And there's this wonderful scene where the emperor of China has been captured by the Mongolian Huns led by the villain Shan Yu. And he's very dark character, and he's got a lightning-shaped sword. And he growls. His method of speech is very growly and angry. He's an excellent character, excellent villain. And there's this scene where he points his sword to the emperor, who, by the way, is in a mountain pose. And he snarls at the emperor, "Bow to me." Because he's captured the emperor and he thinks all of China is mine. And the emperor, unfazed, as a mountain is unfazed, says to the villain, Shan Yu, "No matter how the wind howls, the mountain cannot bow to it." And that, for me, is an aspect of Buddha nature, available to us all. We are all being delighted in this life. We are cherished and loved. Eyes of the ancestors are upon us, enabling, encouraging, protecting us, encouraging us to find a form, a shape, an element to grow into, to express the fullness of our Buddha nature. What is yours. Let's take a moment of silence and reflect. Friends, the enabled ones, the protectors, they all have an elemental point of view and an elemental aspect. And so I'd like to end our practice today bringing forward the elements as a gentle reminder of how well protected and cherished we all really are. The element of earth, may it keep us solid. The element of air, may it keep us clear. The element of fire, may it keep the way well illuminated. The element of water, may it keep us refreshed and replenished. And the element of mystery, may we stay centered, grounded, and at ease. Let's end our practice with a dedication of merit. And the sentiment of metta today, may your fire purify. We are in fire season in Spokane, and fire season is very, very scary and nerve-wracking. And so fire deserves a great deal of respect and knowledge to understand the conditions where it can be a source of light, a source of warmth, a source of purification, but it can also be a source of great pain and suffering and terrible destruction. And so really understanding the conditions of fire to purify, to make way, to guide. So take that inward. Take that as an invitation for your own personal fires, your passions, your creativity, the warmth of your hands, the heat of your embrace, even the destruction of your words, the electrifying gaze that can either empower someone or reduce someone. There are so many ways that fire manifests within you. Take a look and invite your fire to be a source of purification. This is not about making yourself holy. This is about making yourself less muddled, less murky, clearer, a purer you. And when you go out into your day today, notice the landscape, notice the trees and the ground and the stones. And if you can, gently, notice how when you delight in nature, see if you can make space for nature delighting in you. Have a great day. Namaste.